Welcome to this regular meeting of the Biloxi City Council on March 26, 2024. Being that there is a change to the agenda, do I have a motion to amend the agenda?
I'll move that. Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, seconded by Mr. Tisdale. All in favor? Unanimous vote. Ms. Carey?
Madam President, I have a request too, when it's appropriate, as far as modifying the agenda. We'd ask that we remove 4I from the resolutions,
All right.
and I'll go into it more in my mayor's report.
All right.
From the policy agenda, we're removing item 4I, resolution requesting the Mississippi Legislature to adopt legislation to levy a 2% tax. We're adding item 4J, resolution authorizing payment for insurance renewal of property insurance.
I'll move the agenda as amended.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, seconded by Mr. Tisdale to move as amended. All in favor? Unanimous votes. This brings us to the presentation agenda. Mayor's report.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, and I wish to welcome everyone to our meeting, especially Frank Bordeaux, who has always, like the Apostle Paul, good news all the time. But I did ask to remove item 4I, which deals with the occupancy tax, and I wanted to point out some things why we did it, when we did it, as far as requesting consideration. And the reason why I think I asked to remove it, because of the legislation, and we're in the middle of legislation, bringing up a number of factors. The timing and deadlines, as well as the unanimous consent in order to move forward is a challenge, and it does, it's something that needs to be done. I think it would be unreasonable not to consider this. I've presented some notes and stats on what other places are doing with regard to 2%. But bottom line, factors are in consideration right now. Everyone heard of insurance, a big factor. The PERS, the PERS, which could cost us another couple of $1 million. Sports betting, which probably could cost us, if it's passed as it is. These are factors that impact, our bottom line, as well as just the ability to do the things that need to be done. This legislation, this ask is if you can see the list that I provided, everybody, all major cities have this motel tax. You might note that I think the chatter was that would put us on the top of everything with regard to, well, you notice, we have no motel or hotel tax that supports at least 1,000 events a year, don't we? Direct support that we can dollarize, that's going to get more and more as the hotel grows and the industry grows. So that's why, in my opinion, it needs to be considered. It needs to be considered, for the reasons that we've been successful. We need to be ahead of this curve, like we did during the pandemic. And actually doing the refinancing, we were ahead of the curve, and this is now's the time to be involved and take up the situation. So we're not trying to catch up when it comes to some things that may happen this next couple of months, but it's definitely, in my opinion, needs to be considered as fast as it can. This bill was worded that it's going to be a direct support of special events and tourism. Every year, as I said, we had a parade that had about 80,000 people. We have an event that's coming up this week. We've got Cruising the Coast. All have direct dollar impact and all support tourism. Now, again, you noted on this handout, there's part of that 14%, the chatter was we would be at the top of the world. Okay, in Mississippi. But Mississippi is not what we're trying to compete in. We're trying to stay ahead. We've got 6,000 or so hotel rooms. That the more we grow, the more it's going to impact our bottom line. And the bottom line is the dollars that our taxpayers pay. This is an opportunity to let the visitors that we support help with the offset of this, or offset some of the expense that we have. Note that to Mississippi, part of that, the chatter was we'd be at 14%, 2% for the city. But look at on your top of your things, our real competition is Gulf Shores and Orange Beach. Look at the numbers I put. City has 10% of that occupancy. State goes 4%, counties 2%, and there's a 10% sales tax there. But you look at Jackson, you look at Pascagoula, you look at Ocean Springs. All these have not only hotel, but also food and beverage. It's my contention that we do what we need to do in direct support of those people who add maybe 30,000 people on a weekend to our population that we support. Chief, every week after week, we have about 2,000 calls for service, and we have about 200 medical calls. And most of them are related to that, the support of that industry. So it's more than fair and reasonable to expect some help when it comes. And it's, you can look at the list in Mississippi, and we have one, I think, Birmingham for Alabama, 17%. It's only, it's only here that we have the opportunity to not put the burden, which it is right now, on the taxpayers, the people who pay ad valorem tax. This is a way to generate. We figured based on conditions, and what will happen about 800 to 900 or maybe $1 million a year. So that's a load. That's that's what my consideration, our administration proposed, and it is what it is at this point in time. But we cannot put our head in the sand, and all these other folks are doing what should be done in order to stay ahead of this curve. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any departmental reports today? If not, we move on to council reports. Mr. Lawrence.
Yeah, Mayor, I appreciate you pulling that. I think it's a good thing. We set up a workshop with all the people involved, tourism committee on that, and just start working on it as soon as possible. So I think that's a good thing that you removed it so we can have an open discussion with all people involved with the hotels and everything else. I don't know if anybody's really going to be against it. Like you said, if you set it up and put the money in the right direction, it's something that a lot of people ought to support. But if we meet with everybody, then I think that's a good thing. So whenever you can set up a workshop, just let us know, and we'll make sure we're there. We wish everybody happy Easter, and I know we had a meeting earlier with Frank Bodo with the insurance, and that's on there today. So we're going to work with that. And what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to get Frank to get up there second and tell us what he can do to lower this rate. So, Frank, you got anything that this night, the number you got at 3.7, what do you think is you can work it to? Okay. Sure, come on.
Unreasonable, that this would be a referendum in order to approve the 2%. Thank you, George.
All right. Frank?
You two are on the same page?
Oh.
Now,
Hallelujah. Anything else? Yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
We don't want anybody screaming at you. We gotta be at the appropriate time. We need some good news.
So yes, I met with the insurance committee earlier today. Really, we went over in great detail how the city is doing from a casualty and work comp perspective. As we've gone through our losses, 2023 is tracking to be, knock wood, the best year the city's had probably in the past 12 years from a claims perspective. And we're talking about real numbers. And really hats off to law enforcement. Their claims, again, knock wood, is almost zero, which is unheard of these days. And so the city's doing a very good job from a department standpoint. Property insurance, and we just got these numbers over the past hour and a half, put it together. Everything is checked out. Every layer is checked out. When I presented to y'all, I guess 2 weeks ago, we were about 2.7% increase. We're now at a 7.4% decrease. And we were actually able to add some coverage back to MGM Park for the outdoor property. Last year, we had a huge cut in outdoor property, and so we're starting to see some coverages come back. I would ask the board to allow, or the council to allow me to continue to work till the very last minute. I don't know if we can improve on this. We are still oversubscribed, and so we are still working with our carriers. But I'm very pleased with this renewal. Obviously, this is the first time in several years I've been able to bring actual good news to you all. So we went from 3.7 million to 3.39 million in the last 2 weeks.
Hey, Kenny, Paul, that little meeting we made 352,000 an hour and a half ago.
Well, let's meet again.
We did pretty, so we're gonna give you a whole week.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Frank.
that, Frank, you stay on top of it, and drop any more, that's good for the city.
We're going to continue to work on it till the very last minute, and so I do believe that we can still improve on this.
All right, we thank you.
In the next page over, just for y'all's information, we put the blending modeling. You know, we have a $50 million limit. If you look at the 250-year return rate, they're estimating a 250-year storm would cost us about $32 million. So with that $50 million limit, we're purchasing more than what the insurance models predict our loss to be. So I feel comfortable in the number of insurance that y'all are purchasing. So.
Thank you, Frank. I would ask Chief Miller to come up and give us an announcement, I think, of some late-breaking news with regard to special events.
Yeah, I just got this from the Harrison County Sheriff's Department, the Sand Beach Authority, on review of Biloxi's denial of permit for the Schuler lot located at 2450 Beach Boulevard. The recommendation of the Harrison County Sand Beach Authority and the Harrison County Sheriff's Office is that no permit for amplified sound or commercial activity should be allowed on the sand beach. We have approved no other permits for spring break events. We wish to stress the beach is open to the public. However, in the interest of public safety, we are not granting any permits for commercial activity. We encourage everyone to come to the Mississippi Gulf Coast and have a good time on the beach. Something to that effect. Just got this just a few minutes ago.
Right, my understanding would be based on this, since we're looking at an appeal, when at our next council meeting, I mean, doesn't it become pretty moot without a beach permit? There's no beach event then approved by the county on that beach?
Well, our denial of the permit was based on the Schuler lot. It didn't have anything, it's connected to the beach permit, but I
Okay.
wouldn't prejudge the appeal at this time.
Right, okay, so it's still scheduled, still on for the next council meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, George?
Everybody good? You got everything covered now, Fofa? All right. I wish everybody a happy Easter. Got 'em eggs. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gaines?
Yeah, I want to go back to the spring break, the Schuler lot. My understanding is they pulled a permit, but no one had control over the property. Was that how it's kind of laid out? Because I wasn't unsure. I received a lot of calls last week on it. And one of the things that I think we had written up in our rules were that they had to have control of the property from the owner.
That's one of the requirements, and there's never been, even to this date, anything received from the Schuler property as far as their consent to the use of the property. The persons that are appealing are now saying they didn't have anything to do with the Schuler lot. That was somebody connected with their event. But like I think is in our appeal, that it is the same address on both permits.
Okay, which makes it pretty much a moot point if no one has control over it.
Nobody from the Schuler side, who is the listed property owner, nobody from that side has produced any kind of a letter or agreement or consent.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent, for you, if they got any kind of permit. Jerry, has anybody approached the city through you with that piece of property?
No, sir. They would go to Granver Everett, who is a special event coordinator. They've been meeting with him, but on any permit, it doesn't matter what it is, the first thing anybody has to demonstrate is site control. And if they don't demonstrate site control, then they can't get a permit. And what we agreed to do in the beginning on any event is until that event actually gets approved, we don't issue any permits or licenses for that event. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for us to give out a permit and then an event get denied. So no permit has been issued for the Schuler property.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes my
Mr. Deming?
Nothing regarding the Schuler property. The Rouse's property, or the Rouse's development on the corner of Pass Road and Pops Ferry. I was asked by a resident of Ward 4 about the liquor store. The old Winn-Dixie used to have a liquor store there, right? Or do we have any, are they putting a liquor store there next to Rouse's? And do we have any control over that?
No, I mean, it's zoned for it. If they choose to put a liquor store in, then we would have to issue them a permit to do it, but there's no regulation that prohibits it there.
Okay, you're not aware of any laws that restrict the amount of liquor stores in a certain proximity of another liquor store?
No, matter of fact, I had that call yesterday about another property, not the Rouse's, but we have a table in the land development ordinance that talks about minimum distances between certain types of uses, and liquor store is not one of those uses that's regulated.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Tisdale?
Yes, we're still having issues with the sound system, as we have for a number of months. If
Sound system over the internet.
I'm no techie. It just seems to be a connectivity issue somewhere along the line. I don't know who diagnoses that, but it's just folks viewing this. If I view this video at home, I have to turn the volume all the way up to, as they say in Spinal Tap, to 11. And even then, I can barely hear it. So that's what I hear from people. And the most common comment is nobody really wants us to know what's going on, you know. So anyway, just keep working at it if you would. We need to get that resolved in some form or fashion.
We will.
Thank you. The other thing I have to announce is that my ward meeting, Ward 5 meeting, will be tomorrow night. It's Wednesday, March 27th, 6 o'clock at the Snyder Center. Be there, be square, as the mayor would say. We have several directors who will be there with the city, and we'll be able to answer questions on a number of topics. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay, we'll go back to Mr. Deming. He's got something else.
Peter, the pier at the end of Mercedes Drive, you suspected it might be owned by one of the adjoining properties. Did you ever look into that for me?
The pier that's, I guess, to the south of the roadway, that is a private property owner, but the sort of homemade boat ramp is, according to the plat, it's at the water's edge. It doesn't say boat ramp or anything like that, but I understand it's used as one.
Right. So that
I guess
is,
the city's maintenance would be to the water's edge area.
okay, so we need to address that boat ramp of sorts. Who do we set that up with a project for Ms. Labata, or is this a Philly issue?
I'll give back to you if it's about the scope of work, what needs to be done.
Okay. Thank you, Peter. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Glavin?
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor, appreciate you recognizing that
We probably needed to go a little bit slower on this issue with the hotel tax, as other entities, tourism-related entities, such as the Mississippi Hotel and Lodging Association, the Casino Operators Association, and certainly Coastal Mississippi can provide some useful input in a forum that may disclose some information that we need to make a prudent decision going forward. I believe by engaging with industry leaders and stakeholders, we can gain more of a comprehensive understanding of the potential implications of a proposed lodging tax and an increase. And it's essential that we ensure that the consequences are favorable and to prevent any unintended negative effects that such a lodging tax could impose. I look forward to those conversations, and I think the tourism colleagues look forward to that as well, and seeing if we can explore something that will have long-reaching positive consequences for our city, and I thank you for that. Couple other things, Big John Road, we paved, it was paved recently, and if we could consider some striping on that road, I'd appreciate that consideration. I think I had a conversation with Billy Ray, and he said that shouldn't be a problem. Just if we can get that machine in that area and get some striping done on that stretch, that would be great. And then another issue, I was contacted by one of my constituents that owns some property in that area near Mercy Cross. I think this is in Felix's ward, but he said there's a little bit of activity growing in that area on some homeless activity and vagrants. And I know we've opened up an area for them to go pick up food and everything, but it looks like they're trying to kind of camp out there. And I don't know how we can control that situation, but it is making some of the property owners uncomfortable. And that concludes my report.
Okay, Mr. David Schumacher? Newbie?
Okay, I got it, I think. A little more complicated than I thought. Just a couple things real quick. The new Eagle Point Park, you know, all the lights were installed, they've been installed, and hopefully by the end of the month or sometime next week, hopefully, the lights should be operational. I'll keep everybody posted on that. And a little bit better?
Getting closer.
Better? I'll keep everybody posted on that, and also with the times. I know the times are going to shift a little bit, obviously, with summertime versus wintertime, but I'll get everybody the times on that as soon as the lights are operational. But it's looking like hopefully next week. And the second thing, just a brief report of my first week as a councilman. I have a lot to learn, obviously, but I've had a lot of calls, emails, messages. I've made a lot of friends in the last week. Lots of friends, but I've been to a lot of, not just in my ward, but all throughout the city. I've talked to a lot of residents, a lot of citizens with just some issues and concerns. And I've been able to get with some of the directors this week, some of the admin, council members, the mayor, still quite a few I need to get with and just discuss some things. But everything's going good, I hope. I'm gonna continue to keep trying to move forward and be diligent and hopefully address everybody's concerns as fast and as I can. But for y'all that I hadn't been able to get with, maybe if not this week, hopefully next week for sure. I'm gonna try to sit down with everybody, the directors and the admin that I hadn't been able to sit down with yet. But I look forward to it. Honestly, I look forward. I know that probably sounds kind of cheesy, but I do look forward to continuing and working with everybody. That's it. Thank you.
Madam President, let me congratulate the councilman. And, you know, as a graduate of the Wood Market Planning Commission, it's great to have you here. So we'll see you Thursday there too. Thank you.
All right. Moving on to public agenda, where citizen
Can
comments.
I ask one question? Popo, I noticed the mics we have trouble with are the hand-carried mic. Do we have a couple more of these? These seem to work well.
I think we do.
Or do we have to have a hand-carried mic on that table?
I don't think so.
These seem to work well. Those go in and out. So I need to buy these or put those right there. So if you have another one of these, put it on our table right there. Thank you.
Okay. We got citizen comments. Total time allotted is 45 minutes. Each person gets 3 minutes each to speak on any topic of your choice. Once you reach the desk, please sign your name and address and speak it out loud for the record. Anyone on my left that would like to get up and speak? My left, your right. Nobody? Yes, sir.
On Santini, and that's the reason why I'm here today, to speak against proposal, I think it's 4C on the city council agenda, for the rezoning of a piece of property on Iroquois. Three things, and one of the reasons why I'm here is because I've been following it online and wasn't, that strongly opposed one way or the other about the proposal. However, I read in the minutes of the planning commission that the next door neighbor is strongly opposed to this rezoning. And so I thought I at least need to speak for them. I don't know if they were even here today. I don't even know them. But they spoke pretty vehemently at the the planning commission meeting about how they were against the proposal. The house they purchased was, it sounded like maybe they had retired back here. They're originally from Biloxi, and they had big concerns about that. The property itself is really kind of an encroachment of commercial into a residential area. I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. It's property right off of Division Street. The property is currently zoned for single-family residential. The limited business rezoning is proposed for this property for a real estate and contractor's office. The property itself, about 2/3 of it is surrounded by residential, and it's on a residential street facing another home. So it's basically, it's in the residential part of the neighborhood. The LB permits a number of different uses, which, I'm sure the folks who live next door didn't realize, but, a restaurant with in-and-out seating could go in an LB, a massage therapy place, daycare, dry cleaning. But one thing that is not approved in the limited business category from my reading of the use table is a contractor office. And it says contractor office. So it doesn't infer that there's anything else not approved other than an office facility for a contractor. So this LB restriction, a contractor office is not approved for that. So I don't understand why it's being rezoned to LB for that purpose. Also, the fact that, this area is a historic district. This home is a historic property. I just don't feel like that the neighborhood needs or warrants a commercial building inside the bounds of the neighborhood. So that's all I have to say about that.
Anyone else on my left, your right, that would like to get up and speak? Anyone on my right, your left? Anyone else in the room? If not, citizen comments are now closed. Moving on to the policy agenda, Ms. Carey.
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning for 2 parcels of land from neighborhood business to commercial business for 2790 Beach Boulevard and 126 DeBeige Road.
Do I have a motion?
No, go ahead.
Anybody?
I'll move it.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Glavin. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Guines. Being a first reading, we will move on to ordinance B.
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning for 2 parcels of land from neighborhood business and RM30 high-density multifamily residential to RM30 high-density multifamily residential for 308 and 309 Moffett Road.
I'll move it. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Guines. Being a first reading, we'll move on to ordinance C.
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment for a change in zoning for a parcel of land from RS5 High Density Single Family Residential to LB Limited Business for 287 Iroquois Street.
I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Guines. Being a first reading, we'll move on to ordinance D.
I think we have one more. Sorry.
Ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances pertaining to licenses and business regulations for ambulance services and insurance requirements.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Glavin, and it's a first reading as well, so we'll move on to ordinance E.
Ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances pertaining to control and protection of animals.
Previously moved by Mr. Tisdale and seconded by Mr. Guines. Any discussion, Mr. Tisdale?
All we're doing is adding that such animal is being released as part of a trap, neuter, or release program. I believe that was proposed or in line with what an Eagle Scout who visited the council meeting a couple of meetings ago, so that you could release these animals, again, as long as they were neutered or spayed. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Guines?
I have none.
All right, anyone else? All in favor? Unanimous vote brings us to resolution F.
Ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances pertaining to live entertainment and amplified sound in municipal facilities, parks, and other public properties.
Previously moved by Mr. Glavin and seconded by Mr. Tisdale. Any discussion, Mr. Glavin?
I'd like to hear from our director on this, details of this.
Well, this is some of the ordinances that we've been working on in the past. This particular ordinance has been in place for a while. We just did some updates to it and basically tried to clear up the language as much as we can. Peter may have more on it than that.
Yeah, we had, I think this, under the special events and things like that, there's a 10 o'clock sort of curfew on noise ordinances. The parking bays close at 10. There's other things where things sort of shut down at 10. And this was an existing amplified sound ordinance, which basically ran things until midnight on Fridays and Saturdays. So to keep that consistent with the special events ordinances, we're shutting down the amplified sound at 10 o'clock p.m.
And there is, if I'm mistaken, there is an opportunity, if it's something that can be justified, that can be waived till a later time. I think that's in there.
That's right. Nothing else?
Mr. Tisdale?
Yeah, and this pertains to amplified sound in municipal facilities, parks, and other public properties.
That's
correct.
Yes.
So if I have a private club or whatever inside, I'm good. I'm not covered under this ordinance. Correct?
That's right. This is
Thank
for
you.
city property.
All right, thank you. That concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Mr. Deming?
If I remember reading it correctly, it reduced the earliest from 10 a.m. to 9 a.m. Was that to coincide with the special events?
That's right. We went to 9 a.m. to make it as early as 9 a.m. because that matches with the special event times.
Okay, thank you.
Good point.
Anyone else? All in favor? Unanimous vote brings us to resolution G.
Ordinance to amend the Point Cadet Marina and the Biloxi Small Craft Harbor berthing rate schedule.
Previously moved by Mr. Glavin and seconded by Mr. Guines. Any discussion, Mr. Glavin?
Yeah, so what is the change on berthing rates, or what's the significance of this?
We just are just finishing up putting $6 million into floating docks in a section of the harbor, and we're asking to the tenants if they want to be in that part of the harbor to pay an extra $1 a foot.
How much?
$1 a foot more.
More than our other berthing rates at other existing?
Correct. Now, I would add, and I think you've probably been close enough to it to see this, those are smaller slips, and they're not normally the slips that the charter boats are in. Now, that's going to come up when we go around the corner and do the next $6 million worth of work that's just been approved. Well, now then we're getting into the areas, and I think the fact is, if we're gonna put this kind of money into a harbor, we need to be able to get a return on our investment.
All right, the only comment I have, I believe this is a great upgrade to this location. You know, to add these floating docks, I think is going to be appealing. It's probably, you know, to ask for $1 more a foot, I think you probably have a market for that. On the other, you know, I think what happened before, and when we reset them to the original amounts, you know, they were just asking, are there going to be any upgrades? So I think the key to when we do the other $6 million in upgrades, that there are true upgrades that they can see, feel, and use. And I don't think they'd be having a problem with a nominal increase. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Gaines?
I think they covered it.
All right.
I got a question.
Yes, Mr. Tisdale?
Yeah, it says number 3 in what's proposed, deals with charter boats, and it says this rate shall not apply to the floating docks in the Point Cadet Marina, and folks have to qualify to be considered a charter boat. Is there any reason why they, if I understand this correctly, so this $1 a foot increase does not apply to them? Is that accurate?
It does not apply to them unless they choose to be in the new part of the harbor.
Okay, so it's just that section of the floating docks. Thank you.
Nixon.
Go ahead.
So the $3 for charter boat stays the same unless they move. The $6 the normal price per foot. You're charging $7. How many, you know, how many slips you have added with the new floating dock? You need all new slips?
I think it's 27 slips.
So
Most of them are smaller slips than really for recreational boats.
These are all new slips.
They're all brand new.
Right, so if they apply for that,
Electrical.
then that's just regular boat. Any boat goes on the floating dock, it'll be $7 a square foot. I mean, $7 a foot.
If it happened to be a charter boat, it would be $4 a foot because it would be $1 extra over what they're paying now.
So you just add $1, even the charter
Just add
boat
$1.
route there would be $4.
I don't think the
Does it say
slips
that
are
in
fairly
there?
small, so I don't think many of the charter boats are gonna fit in there.
I don't think it's designed to let a charter boat come in for $4. It's a $7 rate at the floating dock.
Right.
And I think they'll move very quickly from what we understand.
You said a smaller slip, what are the size? What size boat can you put in there? Are they 30 foot, less than 30 foot? What's the size?
All 30, they're all at least 30 feet.
They're not all the same, but I'll get you a map that shows that, Councilman.
No, I'm just asking, you know, like you said, some of the charter boats, they couldn't fit in there anyway. They wouldn't want that spot. But this is pretty much 27 new slips, and they $7 a foot for the new slips.
Yes.
Floating part only.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All in favor? Okay, unanimous vote. This brings us to Resolution H.
Resolution vacating an unimproved public right-of-way located between Nelson Road and Agent Court.
I'll move it. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Gaines. Mr. Creel?
This is the vacation, he's asking for the vacation of a dedicated but unimproved right-of-way that's on the north side of Pass Road. It's kind of across from the Taco Bell and next to that tobacco store that's there. You wouldn't even know that there's a road there. It's never been improved. And what it is, Dr. Raines owns the property north of there. He had the previous zoning change request. It was a first reading today. And he wants to vacate this section of Moffett Road. He has plans to build a housing development in there. And so at the next meeting, y'all hear the zoning change, and if that goes through, then he'll present plans to us for the houses that they're going to build.
Okay,
Question.
go ahead, Mr.
Joe, that's the Dr. Raines, that's the eye doctor?
I think so. He's retiring.
Right.
And this is,
So the land runs where, behind his strip center now or in front of it?
It's next to, I think he owns a building further down, but this is next to that tobacco store on the north side, and it just goes up and ends. There's no cul-de-sac or anything, and what he's doing, the property to the east of this is owned by the power company, and he's getting an easement from them so that he'll have a second ingress and egress coming off of Asian Court over there.
So when he has this long strip, it adds to the property he already owns? You said you're gonna develop it in homes?
Yes, sir, single-family houses. Mhm.
Okay. And this all goes to him? There's no other side? Oh, he owns both sides. Most of the time you gotta split it between the property owners.
Once you get past those two properties that face Pass Road, he owns everything else back there
He
behind
owns
it.
all of it, okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Guines?
None.
All in favor? Unanimous vote. Brings us to Resolution J.
Resolution authorizing payment for insurance renewal of property insurance.
So move it.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, seconded by Mr. Guines. Any discussion, Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, you did great already, Frank. We're looking for another couple $100,000. Give you a week or two this time to get it done. You did good the first time. Anyway, need y'all support on that. Save us money. Paul's happy.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Good. Anyone else? Go ahead, Mr. Tisdale.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I just want to be sure that we're authorizing Mr. Bordeaux to bind it at no less than the rates that were presented today. So if we would note that, then I'm good with it.
Okay. Anyone else? All in favor? Unanimous vote. Brings us to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, seconded by Mr. Guines. Any discussions, items, Mr. Lawrence?
On E, I don't know, maybe we got another change order, 26th. What is this about, Walt? That's E.
Good afternoon, council. 5E is, as you said, it's another change order. It's one of the reconciliation change orders, which we've already paid the contractor, and the state agency, MEMA, wants to see the change order so that we can get reimbursed by them. It's about $596,000.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And on, Mike, on I and J, this, doing an interlocal agreement, is that part of the mayor and the council working together to do these things? Or who has full authority to do this?
Yeah, these are renewal of the same terms, primarily the county agreeing to collect our property taxes for us and do our car tags for us. There's fees they charge as part of that. And these agreements have been in place for quite a while. But every time there's an election, it has to be renewed. So the supervisors have just got renewed, we have to redo it. And after this council gets elected in 2025, we'll have to renew it again.
But right now, it still works as the mayor and the council working together to adjust these funds, correct?
Yes, we're working well.
Okay. And on B, this is for demolition of the inner causeway pier. Is that the pier, that's the one that went, where it got tore up in the hurricane? It says demolish. The causeway pier.
That's,
The part of the causeway fishing pier that fell over during tropical storm.
Cristobal.
All right,
It's been laying on its side all this time.
so we're gonna remove it?
Those money, Thailand's grant, to remove it, demolish the parts of the pier that are laying in the water, no good. And this is a award of a contract to a company that's made the best, lowest price.
So we're gonna remove it, then you're gonna build it back, couldn't hear it down there? You're not gonna build it back. You just demolish them with sale. Yeah, we can't hear you, Mike.
Just pull it up to you.
Yeah, put it up to your mouth.
Okay, you,
All right, there you go. So you
got the part about Tropical Storm Cristobal
yeah.
that caused some of the pier to fall over in the water. It's been that way for 3 years. We had quotes as high as $500,000 to rebuild the pier. We chosen to just demolish the damaged parts of the pier. And this is a company that's bid, and that's the award of the contract to remove the damaged sections of the pier that are in the water. It's very unsightly. We get a lot of calls about it.
Well, what about you received $1.5 million? You received $1.5 million to put it back, or you received $1 million?
The
$500,000.
$500,000 to build it back, to demolish and build back. And our feeling is that there's enough fishing pier there, usable pier, that they don't need the other. So it's just cleaner to cut it down and move it out.
So what are you gonna do with the extra money? You have money left over? You gonna do something else with it on the causeway?
If it's a grant, if there's money left over, it goes back to them.
All right. Let's see if there's anything else there.
Unless, I say it goes back to them, to the Tidelands Fund, unless they approve us moving it to another Tidelands project, which is possible.
Yeah, don't send the money back, spend it, that's for sure. Spend it on something. That's all for me, thank you.
All right, Mr. Gaines?
Yes, I just have one. L, does that include the one on Highway 90, the low small marquee?
Right. That's the marquee that's been there all this time that isn't working.
Yes.
So Peter worked a deal with Keesler Credit Union. He can explain the deal a little better.
They're just gonna take over the sign and put the money in to get it fixed and get the board repaired and use it as part of their overall field naming and stadium naming. And they'll be, we're gonna detail in that they'll advertise for the Shucker games.
Gotcha.
They'll advertise the name of the field but having them involved, that's a very good person to manage the board.
Great, thanks. That concludes mine.
Okay, Mr. Deming? Mr. Tisdale?
Yes, on item I, this deals with the interlocal government agreement, and that we're paying the county tax collector $3, I guess, a receipt collected or sold at tax sales. We're paying them $10 a parcel that's researched. And for the tax assessor, are we paying the tax assessor anything for any of their services? We may not be, I don't.
No, they assess, I guess, every 4 years, 4 to 5 years, they do their own countywide assessment, and we just, I guess, get the bargain of their numbers.
Okay. On item J, Chief Miller, is there any delay in moving or transporting prisoners from Biloxi to the county jail? I know that was a concern in the past. Is that much better now?
It has gotten better, and this really just renews everything. I don't think there's any changes here. It's still $30 per inmate per day.
Gotcha. Thank you, Chief. And on item L, we mentioned Keesler Federal Credit Union and renaming MGM Park. If they have the naming rights, when can we expect to see that at some point? I know it's.
Yeah, it's in draft right now, and they're asking me for it as well, so we're working on it.
Thank you. Concludes my concerns.
Mr. Glavin? Mr. Shoemaker? Nothing? All right, all in favor of the consent agenda? Unanimous vote. Any exceptions? None. None? All right. Move on to, nope, no code enforcement, so move on. Do we have a motion for the routine agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale. Second by Mr. Glavin. Any discussion, Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, two things.
What about Jay?
I don't think I've seen us paying $81,000 on a bill for a month. That's pretty low. Most of the time it's 4 or 5 million, so do we make that much more money this month that we swallowed 4 million? I mean, that's pretty low money, 81,000.
Resolution. It's resolution.
Hey, Walt, bring the check up here, Walt. Don't come empty-handed again.
Poor Jay.
You did well the last couple of weeks.
Good afternoon again, council. So we received our $2.4 million that I spoke about at our last council meeting. That hit our accounts today. And that should be followed up by another 1.45 million, but we'll know more about that this Thursday.
So we're right on schedule.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have any discussion? All right, all in favor? The routine agenda? Unanimous vote. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale, second by Mr. Lawrence. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Happy Resurrection Day.